I can relate to that actually, because 廣東話 我嘅 first language lah, but I use it every day at work, every day. Yeah, so me trying to be more inclusive, I dive headfirst in all the different 廣東話 conversations. So all my customer engagements, internal meetings are all 廣東話, unless there is like someone from the regional side that doesn't know 廣東話, I'm very happy. Yeah, let's switch to English, right? Yeah, but I can relate to that.
This is Andrian.
And this is Ray. Welcome to the Talk Live podcast.
Every 2 weeks, we'll invite a new guest and
In every session, we'll dig into their life, relationships, and perspectives.
one question at a time.
Let's talk live!
Yay. Hi everyone, this is Andrian.
And this is Ray.
This is Christy.
So we're going to continue our second episode with Christy. And this time as mentioned, we're going to talk about workplace inclusion. Since in the first episode, we mostly talk about her childhood, her growing up, like her learnings. But work is definitely a big area for everyone, so we're gonna like talk about that, and it's gonna be free flow as well. So we're gonna
Always free flow.
we're just gonna jump in and be like a discussion. So, what we're gonna talk about in workplace inclusion this episode?
Yeah, so I think now going back to hats, we will wear the ambassador hat because like we understand that Christy is an ambassador for the Deaf Society in Hong Kong, right? So in this episode, we really like what Andrew say, right? Want to understand more about workplace inclusion. Because I think if you guys haven't tuned into episode one, we really talk about Christy's whole journey going through that process and how and what her thoughts on how Hong Kong and the rest of the world can be more inclusive. So in episode 2, it's really more about Christy's work experience, because you have hearing impairment, some sort of special needs, and wearing the hat of an ambassador for Deaf Society in Hong Kong. We really want to understand what do you actually do from a day-to-day basis, and what's your main objective, your mission, your motivation.
So I'm now working as the hearing impaired youth ambassador in the Hong Kong Society for the Deaf now, and we are aiming to promote D&I and accessibility tools and other barrier-free facilities in the community to the public through different channels like video shooting, social media, and public training. And I'm also currently partnering with a group of IT youth ambassadors in our company to help our hearing impaired members to adapt to the new normal today, and providing some technical support to them, like how to connect with the community, how to receive information, and how to do online shopping, because now everything are transformed to digital. So we are now helping our members to adapt to the life today. And also I'm also responsible for the marketing management of our social enterprise, which is a cafe located in Sai Kung, and most of their employees there are hearing impaired. So I'm working to promote this cafe and adding the sign language and to promote the sign language, organizing some maybe a free workshop or inserting the sign language pattern in our menu. To try to tell others that the language of deaf people.
What Christy have just shared, it sounds like you are working for Microsoft already. Based on the words that you use, the mission, the values, you say now going digital is a new normal, open mindset and this kind of stuff. So it already sounds like you're working in Microsoft. But before touching about what it's like working at Microsoft, really want to understand more what's your main objective and mission? You deciding to join the Deaf Society as an ambassador.
So my motivation, I would say, is increasing the public awareness on the disability issue. So I feel sense of accomplishment every time I've done training for the for university, for the K-12 and the government, because after I have done one training, there are more people understanding us. So I feel sense of accomplishment about this. Yeah, I'm happy with this. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we can relate. You know, Andrea and I, I always talk about why we started a podcast. I realize, but I think for new listeners out there, right, we started this because we feel like we can relate more to young adults going through some sort of similar situation. And if our guests, like yourself, Christy, or we have different guests that come on here, if they're able to share something or a new perspective or something relevant to them, right, then we feel very fulfilled, very happy, and also accomplished. And I think what you're doing now is like really great, that you know you have found a platform that can really create a larger impact to people that are going through similar situation. And you know, doing this podcast is also just one of the channels that you are, you know, creating that impact.
Yeah, so when I was in Microsoft, our work mainly covered the whole disability, like ADHD, visually impaired, and like hearing impaired, yeah, and other underserved group. And so now in the Hong Kong Society for the Deaf now, we are mainly focusing on the hearing impaired group. So this is also what I want to do, because this is not only doing for them but also for myself too. Yeah,
really creating a platform to feedback centrally all the different feedback issues that, you know, people like yourself and stakeholders within this whole community, right, having a central voice.
actually I would like others to perceive me as a normal person, because so this is also why I'm working hard all these years to follow like following my friends, like what they can do, and actually I think I can do the same too. So my objective is to achieving more and even performing better than others, and so people will perceive us as normal people. Yeah, so and they will understand that even I'm a disability, but I can still do the same thing as they do.
Or even better, right?
Yeah.
The reason why I asked this question is what I was thinking is, if people see you as someone with hearing impairment, they might understand more and give you more leeway. But in the same time, you would also want them to see you as a normal person, because you are not inferior. You don't need to be seen as having some sort of impairment. That's why I have that thought, because I would say yes and no for that question, to even to myself if I'm in your shoes. So so I think thanks very much, Andrea and Christy, for the open discussion. Love this kind of dialogue. So leading to branching off what Andrea and you have shared, right? You've had a couple of work experience, right? Sometimes in I'm not sure in Australia, I'm not sure whether you work, but from being your friend and understanding your work experience, you have worked in NGO, you have worked in MNCs like Microsoft, you have worked and now like Deaf Society in Hong Kong. So what was that work experience like to you? Were they inclusive, or like was there any challenges? Just share anything about your work experience, like being someone with hearing impairment or special needs.
So working in Microsoft is actually an exceptional experience for me, and when talk about Microsoft, two things come to mind. Firstly, Microsoft has a really fast-paced working environment, and it is full of challenges. And I feel it as an opportunity to learn. And like I did really learn a lot from my team, like team collaboration and public speaking and like multitasking. Yeah, and because this is the first job I have, and I'm starting from zero.
Okay.
Yeah. So the second thing is Microsoft is a really supportive company. Yeah, and they have the most caring colleague, and they try to understand what I need. And like when we are having meeting in person in our company, and most of my colleagues, they all sit opposite me for me to do lip reading easily. Yeah. And actually, Microsoft is also trying to include everyone with every ability by building in different accessibility features in their product. Like when my first day in Microsoft, I was really surprised by the subtitles on Microsoft Teams and PowerPoint. Yeah, and this is how I communicate with the overseas colleagues during an online meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, so you touch on technology, so I'm not gonna deep dive further, but so basically just summarizing a bit that I didn't know Microsoft was actually your first job. You did very well, yeah. Okay, why am I saying this? I'm not HR or not your manager. It's irrelevant.
It's suddenly, you know what, I'm basically like a free rider right here, but I was like, oh my god, that Microsoft sponsor our podcast.
Oh yeah, I was thinking that too, yeah. But anyway, it's great company, it's paying for my bills, it's good. So I think I really want to understand, from your work experience so far, whether it's Microsoft or being the ambassador in the Deaf Society of Hong Kong, was there any challenge? Like challenge meaning like, okay, it could be people challenge, or it could be your based on because of your special needs, that you feel like, sometimes you feel you cannot perform as well, because I understand where you're coming from. Like you really want to perform as well as people that are, I wouldn't say normal, right? Like everyone else, or even better. So sometimes you might feel, do you feel any sense of frustration, or like what's that? Any experience that you want to share? Yeah. So I'll pause here first. I have more questions following. Yeah.
Yes, actually, I got an experience when we are in a team meeting in Microsoft, and once my supervisor, she asked me to do the minute, but but maybe she didn't realize that, or she forgot about my disability, and I said, I don't know how to reject others, and I said, okay, I will do it. But I turned out I really can't do it, and other supervisor asked, I asked them to, can you repeat the major things that we have talked about in the meeting, and another supervisor asked me, why you are not asking us when you cannot hear? But I cannot always stop or interrupt the conversation, Yeah, it's very hard, and it's not efficient way. Yeah. So then I tell the supervisor that I actually cannot do this, and maybe if there is another way for us to do this. Yeah.
I can relate to that actually, because 廣東話我嘅 first language lah, but I use it every day at work, every day. So me trying to be more inclusive, I dive headfirst in all the different 廣東話 conversations. So all my customer engagements, internal meetings are all 廣東話, unless there is like someone from the regional side that doesn't know 廣東話, I'm very happy. Switch to English, right? But I can relate to that. I cannot understand everything 100%, and it was very, very, very tough in the beginning,
Yeah.
when people assume that, Ray, yeah, you're Chinese, and then you know Guangdonghua. But yeah, you learn along the way. But even now, I cannot understand 100%. But it's enough for me to 大概明白個重點. Yeah. And sometimes when they have all the offline chats or like side jokes, they know that I cannot understand. So I think after a while, like I really like your approach. Like, you need to be very frank with yourself on how much you can take for a specific task, right? And the moment you feel like you cannot deliver that task as well as you think other people can do, you need to be nice to them and say like, oh, can we switch to English?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I cannot do that work properly in
Yeah.
Guangdonghua, like
Yeah.
from my perspective. And for you, I think that's what you did, and you don't have to feel bad. Like, people
Yeah.
are generally quite nice.
Yeah, just there are some challenges, so just go through it and find a different way to do it. It's fine. Yeah, so this is actually I get through it very quickly. Yeah, and I just forgot about it. Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great for everyone to listen to various experiences. Even Ray is like he has really good ability, I would say. Of course, Christy as well. But then he also suffer from various issues. I think everyone has their own challenge. That's what we always wanted to point out. And even I guess I can understand both language. Sometimes there are things that I don't understand either. So I think it's for everyone out there who has various challenges, issues, or even worries. Like, sometimes you don't only have like hearing impairment or any disability. Sometimes you just are stressed. That could also impair you somehow mentally, and you just think that is always nice to be aware, help yourself, help others. And that's basically it. So, which doesn't lead to my next point, but basically, I was thinking, so what are you thinking of next? Because we talked about you having different jobs previously, and are there anything you plan to do next? Like, are you planning to do like stepping back into the business environment, or do you want to continue being an NGO and helping others, or both at the same time?
Currently, all I want to do is to my long-term mission. My long-term mission is to promote DNI to the public, and I think I can do this in whatever platform. Yeah, and in commercial business or in NGO. Yeah, so all I just want is an opportunity, like working in Microsoft. I'm working in a philanthropy team, and so I hope in the future I still have the opportunity to work in similar things, like to helping others. So I think NGO can do the same thing too, and I think some large MNC company can also have the platform for me.
I think very, very admirable, and you shouldn't waste the superpower that was given to you, right? I mean, this hearing impairment, if you think of it as a in a positive light, right? You're given like a greater voice. You know, it took you so much effort to learn how to have that voice, and now you actually have that voice. And even though there's a lot of challenges in your daily life, I think maybe not how I would approach it, but just some thoughts like, this gives you a lot of other opportunities, right? To connect with like-minded people and also like have a greater voice for the community with special needs. And I think, really agree. Yeah, I think you're still young, so you work in Microsoft, you work now it's a full-time ambassador, but the world is your oyster, right? You can try out a lot of different experiences, but I resonate with you saying that there's a lot of different ways that you can, have and amplify that voice, whether it's through like volunteering work, through podcasting, through your social media channels. Yeah, maybe you can start a YouTube. We were discussing. And really, yeah, I think that's just a quick point from my side. But I think, yeah, really want to understand more on the part where, given your work experience so far at a large organization like Microsoft, or whether like an NGO like the Deaf Society of Hong Kong, what is there any advice, or like if you could, have a discussion with all our human resource leader, HR leaders out there, right? What was some of the feedback that you will give them on how to make it a more inclusive place for people with special needs?
So from my previous interview experience, and I have applied for many jobs, and I have just received just a few, like 3 to 4 interview invitations. And for one interview, I went there and the HR speak with me, and I disclosed to her that I was hearing impaired, and she said she thinks I'm not capable to work in their large company because they are quite listed company. They are listed company, yeah, and because they need a lot of communication. And I said I'm not able to talk on the phone. And she said, then I think you are not capable, because we need a lot of phone talk. Or yeah, and then asked me to try look for other small company. Yeah, and because they are, and I found that the most employers and especially the human resource department, they are lack of the understanding of the people with disability, and maybe they are still having a fixed mindset, and maybe they think that we need expensive equipment, and but actually we don't need any expensive equipment. Yeah, because like Microsoft Office, and we got a lot of accessibility feature inside, and which assist us at work. And yeah,
I get your point, yeah.
I
It's
forgot what to say.
Oh. Don't worry, I remember what to ask.
Let me think.
Yeah. So you're saying like there's a lot of accessibility tools.
Yeah, but you don't need that. You just basically a normal person. I think your point was leading to.
Let me think.
Take your time, yeah.
Yeah, so actually there are a lot of expensive products that can help us, and we don't really need any expensive equipment. And even if some do, they can apply for funding from the government scheme to make any reasonable adjustment in their workplace. So this is what I want to do, is to raise their awareness on this issue, and to give us the opportunity. Yeah, because they even didn't have the opportunity to interact with us, and I think they should step out and try first, at least. Yeah.
You should feel damn proud of yourself for being able to, work at a large organization like Microsoft, probably bigger than that whatever listed company they were in. But yeah, I don't want to put anyone in a bad light, because sometimes, like what you say, we have to be more empathetic, right? They may not have exposure to, really working with individuals like yourself or people with that need. And that's why they have this fixed mindset. And I think it's very common for a lot of people to have fixed mindset. It's not easy to change fixed to growth, because it always takes a lot of challenging from the status quo and how to do things differently. And I feel like, and that's why, we're very grateful that you're sharing this perspective, so that more people out there, because I think our audience are from very diverse backgrounds. Most of them are young, but there are some professors listening, different walks of life, and each of them will actually play a role on how we interact with different people, right? So by you sharing that perspective, hopefully it opens and broadens our audience thinking that whenever we're faced with this kind of thing, like when on the street you interact with someone, it will affect who they are, what they think, and how they actually feel, and how confident they feel about themselves. Yeah. So you really prove the point that, you know, people with special needs can achieve same or even better. And
Yeah.
I think like we shouldn't compare whether same or better. It should be like what kind of interesting perspective that you can bring to that table. And I think you already have proved yourself so far at this early stage in life, and we hope to see more and hopefully
Yeah.
amplify that impact. And you know, this Talk Lab podcast will give you a small boost in terms of that. But I'm sure, yeah, we're very
Yeah.
grateful to have you.
Yeah, I think the company can actually try to post their job opening in other community group like the non-profit. Yeah, and like if they have any employee with disability at work, they can provide some training or just some opportunity for them to develop, yeah, and succeed at their work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think all organizations, we understand that it's gonna be a challenge. It is not, I won't say challenge, but definitely more effort if you want to be inclusive. Yeah, and it shouldn't be small company that should be working on this. No, small companies are lean. They are small and they don't have money to afford to do all these trainings and employee type of engagement, right? So in actual fact, right, if you think about it, big companies should be making that statement that they should be more inclusive. Yeah, it's not just like, oh, go to a small company and you'll find your place. No, in small companies, they expect you to deliver quickly. They don't have so much patience. So it's the big companies that should play the part and be more inclusive. And I think with your experience so far at Microsoft, and I think going forward, a lot of other organizations would be very, very happy to have you on. And, you know, no HR person should always just screen based on, you know, I mean, we can't blame them too, right? Every day they have KPI on how fast they hire people and whether within 3 months that person leaves or not. So, I mean, if we think from that perspective, we have to be empathy that why they react that way.
Yeah, we have to include different perspective
Yeah.
and be inclusive of their thought as well and their side. But I think everything has a balance.
Yeah.
You just need to strike that balance and it can be smooth sailing. So basically that would be to wrap up our second episode on workplace inclusion. And thank you once again for Christy for being on our Talk Lab podcast. Hopefully we get to shed some light on this topic, as well as we basically have learned quite a lot on this topic as well. It's great discussion. So comment, like, subscribe, and share
Yeah.
if you like this episode.
Please share, yeah, because the only way that we can grow or amplify the stories of our guests or the perspective, right, is by sharing, yeah. So we really appreciate all the support and taking so much time to listen. Hopefully you found some insights, and we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, and if you want to comment, we have made a page? Is it Jumper?
Oh, I don't know, yeah, I'll drop the link on
Yeah.
there. But it's basically a page where you can ask us anything and we'll respond to you using voice, text, or whatever, yeah. So we'll drop the link in the Spotify link or even on the YouTube description, yeah.
Yep. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye bye.